Growing up, you thought you were in a big family, only to realize it was a cult. You grew up with 35 brothers in a household where you were forced to worship your father, who you would call God. As much as you hated living there, it was the only life you had ever known. It was normal to you. However, you were always weirded out by the large men in animal masks who would visit you and your brothers late at night. None of you liked it, but you and your brothers were forced to partake. Some of you had considered escaping, but had grown up being taught you'd be punished by Satan himself, which was enough to make you stay. How could you have known any better? That was until last week. You were sharply woken up from your bunk beds as normal, ready for homeschooling, but something was off. One of your brothers was absent from class, which is never the case unless someone has been sent to the behavior correction room. But he hadn't misbehaved, so he was missing for a different reason. Mother, or at least the person you thought was your mother, looked extremely worried and jittery this day. You called this woman your mother, but you had no idea if she was your real parent, and you would never dare to ask. Immediately, she began questioning you regarding your brother's absence from class that morning. I don't know where he is, you said. That was the truth, or at least half the truth. She insisted because you share a room you must know, or you're lying. Again, you stated you didn't know where he was, trying to act as normal as possible. After a while of her sitting there staring at you with heavy eyes, you finally suggested that maybe you could go looking for him. And where do you suppose we could find him? She asked. The woods, maybe? You know we aren't to go into the woods. I don't think he would have made it that far anyway. Surely somebody would have stopped him. I don't know then. I don't know where he is, you said. She stared at you for another infinite feeling moment. Finally, the tension in her eyes broke. Well, then you'll just have to go to your room and not come out. So you did, trotting back to your room. It was only a few steps from her office, but tears had already begun to well in your eyes because you knew where your brother was. He did go into the woods, and you knew the exact path that he told you he was going to take. Like your brother, you wanted to leave. Unlike your brother, you were too afraid at the time to face the unknown. After all, you had never even been in those woods, nor have you ever even seen the world that existed beyond them, if any, for all you knew. You, along with all of your brothers, were made to stay in your rooms until the next day, when, again at exactly 6:30 a.m., you would hear the banging on the doors telling you and everybody to come to class. You remember that morning. You remember your mother looked hollow, perhaps what a grieving mother looking for her missing son would. You said your daily prayer to your father and were immediately greeted in the classroom by a lecture on what happens if you run away. She wasted no time telling you the story of a boy who ran away from home decades ago. That boy, just a teenager at the time, was called upon by Satan to run away and was found mutilated across the forest just a few days later. That is the prophecy, see? Your mother stated. You have the choice to leave. But do you choose morality, comfort, and our good will? Or do you choose immorality and a diseased, evil livelihood? She walked towards the door, careful to not let her black skirt drag on the floor, and opened it. If you choose to leave, I will not stop you. It would be an interference with God's will. A cool breeze then flowed into the room.